I know you've got a lot of thoughts on this, but I wondered if we could jam on it together and see how many very precise steps that people can take to become more referable. And
Okay.
you give us one, I'll give one, you give one, I give one. Let's see how many we can get to that are practical, tangible ways that people themselves can become more referable, regardless of their industry or line of work. Kick us off with one.
So the first thing is to understand that satisfied clients, there's a low correlation between referrals from satisfied clients. You need to create engaged clients.
Okay.
An engaged client is someone who's engaged with your value. They understand, appreciate your value, and you've also made a personal connection. Both of those are equally important. They like you, they trust you. If they see your value, but they don't like you, trust you, they're not going to do business, not going to refer you. If they like you, trust you, but they're not quite sure they see your value, they're not going to do business, they're not going to refer you. So we have to think throughout the entire lifetime of the relationship with the prospect, the new client, the ongoing client, how do we keep bringing value and how do we keep adding to the personal connection? Those are two very fundamental, critical things to becoming more referable.
Okay. Let me add one from my point of view, is do everything you possibly can to be easy to do business with.
Amen.
Is remove the friction, make it as effortless as possible. The easier you are to do business with, the easier you are to refer.
Yeah, one can argue we're in the stress reduction business.
Potentially, yes.
With folks. Yeah. So one way to make this personal connection we're talking about, particularly early on in a new relationship, although it can be done anytime, is why you believe in your value. Your emotional connection to the value that you bring.
Okay.
And quite often that comes in the form of a story.
Yep.
Not always, but sometimes it's something that's happened to you or you've observed with your client or happened to a friend, family member. But it's that aha experience you had of why you believe in your value. And when you talk about that, when you share that story with folks in a brand new relationship, they get a sense of who you are. That's the personal connection side. And so not only will that help you win more clients, but it also helps you become more referable. So that's why I recommend you do it early. Now you can go back to clients and say, I don't think I ever told you how I got started in this business or why I believe in this value.
Okay.
But that is a huge thing in earning business and becoming more referable. And then the financial services arena, and this is really true, I think, in any arena, people want to know what you do. People want to know how you do it. But they also want to know who you are.
Yep.
Who is this person? Especially in personal services.
So we got the whole create personal connections that are beyond.
Yep.
I said easy to do business with. You're saying the sharing of almost your why, your vision, your purpose story, so people can feel connected to the bigger picture.
Yes.
If I'm going to add a fourth way here that we can be more referable, it's to share case studies and examples of the kinds of people that you've helped in other areas, so people are collecting their relevant stories to your relevant stories and seeing how you can help others.
Exactly. It's the evidence and it helps people understand what you do in a broader sense.
Yep.
And they can start to see scenarios where the principle here to that, Phil, I see is that a lot of people know people who should know you, but they don't realize they know people who should know you.
Right.
Because they don't know how to connect the dots.
Yep.
They don't know about certain things that are going on in the person or in a business that would make them a candidate for the work you do. All right, I got some more.
Let's keep going.
All right, so the onboarding of a new client. This is often an overlooked area in a lot of businesses. Not all business, some do a pretty good job, but let's call it the first 60, 90 days. What are you doing there to help them feel really good that they made the right decision to work with you? And again, this goes back to how do we bring some more value? How do we create the personal connection? So let me give you a couple of concrete examples because we want to get tactical here. Rod Gibbings is a coaching client of mine in Kelowna, Vancouver, Kelowna,
BC.
British Columbia.
Yep.
Thank you. For him, when someone's bringing assets into his business, there's a lag time. There's a 2 or 3 week period where the money has to get transferred. Clients get a little nervous. They wonder, is it going to be as smooth as they said? So he makes these no news is good news phone calls to these people. He's reducing their stress in this time frame. And he gets a lot of referrals because of that. Early on, new relationships. Another one, Brian Sweet, does a dream board or a vision board for his clients. Think about that. When you help your clients, your new clients, articulate who they want to be, what they want to do, have in visual form, Are you getting to know them pretty well?
Yeah.
And are you sharing some of your vision? And are you creating this quote unquote business friendship early on? And so what happens, the secret sauce, if you will, to creating advocates for your business is the business friendship. If they love your value, they will want to share that value with others. But if they love you too, and I, in quotes, love, they'll not only want to share your value to help others, they also want to help you.
Yeah, and give you to others.
And give you to others as a resource, absolutely. And that comes from the relationships you build and how you build them. There's very specific tactical things to do there.
And I'm going to summarize that as almost creating remarkable moments, right? Moments that are worthy of remark so that you get talked about with more intention.
Yes.
What would I add here to be becoming more referable is share with your clients your challenges, your puzzles, your struggles. So if you're in a position that what you can do is talk about an obstacle you're trying to overcome that's attached towards your business growth, share with them a goal or a aspiration that you have for the transformation that you're going to go through with your business. Talk to them about the people you'd love to do business with, the people that you would love to have more of. And like I've shared publicly, I may as well do it right now, is that, I've spoken now on 6 of the 7 continents. At some point in my professional career is I'd like to be able to say that I've been paid to speak in all continents. Now that means that I'm putting a challenge out there in the world that Antarctica is still a continent that I haven't had a professional engagement in. Now, I don't want to get a flight to Antarctica and find 12 people at a bar that are happy to listen to me for 20 minutes. I want an organization.
Darn, because I was starting to think of how to make this happen.
Right. But that's the whole point of sharing a challenge with people, right? You start sharing a challenge that is meaningful to you with people that care about you. They will go to work for you to try and help find a solve. So the sharing of puzzles and challenges, objectives and goals can help make you more referable.
Are you saying become a little vulnerable with your own clients?
Yeah, potentially. Let them know your imperfections and your obstacles.
What you're trying to, and that's the business friendship, because when that develops and you peel the layers back of yourself a little bit, it's got to be appropriate and professional.
Yep.
That's what I call business friendships. And some real true friendships can happen, but it's the business friendship. You peel the layers back, they'll start to peel their layers back a little bit.
And the connection strengthens.
Right.
What else you got?
Yeah. So I teach a technique called the value discussion.
Okay.
And so here's the principle it's based on, then I'll tell you what it looks like. Everyone listening, watching has been through a situation where they're unclear about the next step to take in a relationship, business, and whatever. They sit down with a friend, they start to talk it out, describe it. The friend doesn't say a dang word, and the person comes up with their own answer.
That's right.
Right? They gain clarity from talking it out. So that's the principle at hand. So how that goes into the referral process is that at moments with your prospects and clients, you want to have these value check-ins. You want to ask open-ended questions that get them to talk about how they're perceiving the value of what you've done up to this point.
Okay.
Because when they talk it out, it becomes more clear to them. Right? They feel it, they kind of get it, or they wouldn't keep moving along. But when they speak it out, it becomes more real to them, and it becomes more real to you. And you're learning how what you do,
I've just done a full table read, a full dress rehearsal of the articulation of the value they get from the relationship. That means it's now easier for them to communicate it to others because they just communicated it to you.
Exactly. So there's that word. Exactly. So here's how
$1.
it might. Here's
$1.
how $1 every time.
Every time.
All right, I got a lot of ones on my today. So, so here's how it might play out. Brand new meeting. We've covered a lot of things here today. I'm curious what stands out as the most important, or how would you prioritize what we talked about so far? Open-ended. It's got to be open-ended, right? It's not, have you found today's meeting valuable?
Right.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't really accomplish anything, does it really? Let's say decision to move forward. Right? You've made an important decision, Phil, and you're doing important work. I want to acknowledge that. And I know we had a few things to weigh against and a lot of things to think through. I'm just curious what tipped the scales. Very genuine. Yeah. Not trying to trick anybody into anything.
And questions that don't have right answers.
Exactly. And you say, well, I like what you said about this. So what this will do, again, they will get more in touch with the value and reinforce their decision. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you're also learning how what you do works with people. This is helping you become more comfortable, possibly asking. I say this to newer folks is pay attention to these answers. Don't just have your agenda, what you're going to do next. Take it in, right? Value delivered, value recognized. All right, so let's say it's a review meeting that I think all businesses should do with all ongoing clients. We should always have these take time out and work on the relationship review meetings. Let's put the market aside. Let's put the economy aside. Let's talk about things we actually can control.
Right.
Our communication, our overall working relationship. First and foremost, anything not working, I should be aware of. Any place where we're not meeting expectations. Once we're 6 months or so, give or take, into the relationship, it's time to check in for what's not working.
Right.
Principle. A relationship that's had a problem, that's been handled well, is a stronger relationship than one that's never had a problem.
Okay.
Most people get that. So we got to go looking for the little stuff because it actually will strengthen the relationship. Mm-hmm. And we can't be afraid of that. 90% of the time or more, people are just going to go right to the good stuff. There isn't anything lingering. But if there is something, let's get it exercised out, right? And then you move on to the positive. So these are some ways to check in. And that will make you more referable just by having those conversations. But it will also then help you feel more comfortable potentially leveraging by promoting or asking for introductions.
And by getting insights from them and them sharing stories in those check-ins. Like I was chatting with a buddy on the golf course about you the other day and actually collecting the drops that you can then accelerate into referrals.
Don't be surprised. Just have these value check-ins. You will get unsolicited referrals. And unsolicited referrals count, by the way.
Yep.
Especially if they fit your business.
Let's see if we can keep going with a few more on this list.
Yeah.
Is I would say we can become more referable if you intentionally create assets or content with the purpose of it being shareable by your clients.
Yeah.
The layup gifts that you can give to them that they can go on and share with others. And it's such an easy thing to do. We're often trying to create content for our end user, content for our ideal audience, but we're not creating the giveaway content for our existing, most trusted, most liked, most welcome clients that they can share with others.
And encourage them to share with others.
Right.
Don't assume they will share with others. Yeah, this goes into the idea of some people will refer us, introduce us to someone else, hoping that business takes place, right? Not everybody's comfortable with that full kind of introduction. Sometimes we just want people to introduce others to our value.
Yep.
Right? And you and I know a guy named Rory Vaden, very smart guy. I love his expression. Save your best for first.
Right.
Right? Lead with great value. And, there are some folks actually, I'm reading this guy's work right now. He's saying, don't give stuff away. I'm thinking, what planet is this guy living on?
Well, Larry Wingate would say, shoot your big guns first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the key is if people see a little bit of value, then they're going to become interested, right? If they don't see a little bit of value, you're not relevant, right? So,
what are you doing?
Unless someone drags you into them into your office, they're not going to do business.
If you had a fudge shop and you were trying to sell more fudge, you'd put your favorite flavors of fudge on the trial tray.
That's it. One of my books, I talk about you at the food court in the malls, right? The one place, it's usually the Asian food place that's going, bourbon chicken, taste it, right? Okay, that'll work.
Yeah, give me a rice bowl. I want all of it. Yeah,
exactly. It's that sample is actually, I think, very important. So I'll give you a very concrete example from my world is Jeremy Keel I interviewed for my podcast. His target market is Harley Davidson in Milwaukee. He's created a name for himself as the advisor for Harley Davidson. And it all started with a blog post that he wrote around the benefits package of Harley Davidson, the pros, the cons, the gaps, the good things. And all his clients started sharing that with other colleagues in Harley Davidson.
Yep.
And that was the tipping point for him, was that piece of content that was shareable and of value to the recipient.
My buddy Lee, who owns an investment real estate business in the United Kingdom that primarily helps professional soccer players, retiring professional soccer players, start to build wealth in real estate. And he created a real simple guide because his clients were being asked, how do you do what you do? So he created a guide that was giftable from client to retiring soccer player, and particularly, the athlete that's been a pro for 3 years, 5 years, had income up high, income drops plummetly. What are they going to do next? Is how do they start thinking before their playing days are over of something they can do with their model that sits outside of traditional retirement models? And he did a really good job of just creating an asset or a piece of content that made their client's job easier to create more clients. Same deal, right?
Yep. I'm an advocate for that, for creating stuff to share with clients, for them to share with others. In the referral introduction process, a lot of your clients will feel more comfortable starting it that way.
100%.
Right? They're not ready to introduce you specifically to someone. They want to test the waters a little bit. They want to introduce you in a little. So whatever that is you create, better be pretty good. Pay attention. This should be something that's valuable, but that also triggers interest and curiosity.
Well, we're doing it now, Bill, right? This is going to be a lot easier a tool for me to ever introduce your work to any clients of mine, because I'm just bringing them into a third wheel conversation between the two of us. There's no feeling of obligation or risk. They can get a chance to know you, know your work at a greater degree, and do it in a safe space where they might go, oh, I like that Kate's guy. I want to find out some more about him.
Well, and that's, folks who do podcasts. One reason to do a podcast is people get to know you first. And then they know how you think and talk, and they even know your answers to the question that you're going to ask because they know you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So even the take there is, if you are producing content right now, are you creating content to make you more referable? Or are you creating content to attract your ideal clients? And that might be a whole new content bucket that people can play into.
Well, actually, let me ask you, how would that be different? Because I see them could be one and the same.
Well, let's look at the professional speaking space.
All right.
I can create content that would be attractive towards, like, say, for example, I want to win more speaking gigs in the real estate space.
Right.
I could create content for real estate agents, and then bottom up, agents could say, I like what I learned from Phil Jones. Let's get him to our conference. Or I could look at everybody that I've already worked with in the real estate conference space, and I could create content for them, and I could give them something to share with their colleagues or coworkers. That's a different piece of content. I'm not trying to teach an agent how to be a better agent. I'm looking at people who are in the event space that are often new to events, where what I could do is I could provide them a checklist or how to maximize, or here are 10 things that you could be doing with your real estate event to be able to generate more leverage. Right. And now I'm getting introduced as a partner to an event, not as a speaker for agents.
So this is where context is king and relevance. Like, who are you sharing this with, and what are they to do with that piece?
Right. And it means that the content we're creating is sometimes it's for a massive audience. Sometimes it's for an audience of one.
Yeah.
And an example that I give for some content that we create that makes me more referable for speaker bureaus is we produce content-based case studies for multiple industries that I've worked with. Right. See, if I produce a case study piece of content for how I've helped in the healthcare industry, and a bureau agent is saying, well, I've got this guy, Phil, and I think he can help you in the healthcare industry. They want proof for it.
Yep.
I say, well, here's who I helped previously. Here's a video from a past client. Here's an interview with a past client. Here was the brief. Here's what's delivered. Here's a snapshot of that video. But it doesn't need to exist in open domain. It could have 20 views on it, and it could be remarkably valuable because it makes me more referable because I'm the easy button.
Evidence, credibility. Yep.
Mm-hmm. We got a lot here as well. What more have you got, Bill, before we close this out? Let's see if we can get one more, two more from you as how to become more referable.
So back to the early part of the relationship, the onboarding, first 60, 90 days, you want to create a checklist for you, for your team. And I always teach my team, checklists were meant to be respected. You've created this checklist for a reason, so let's use it. And it could be 3 or 4 things in the first 60 days that are going to bring more value. All right, what could those be? Well, one of the big ones, especially for financial services, is to review their statement, their first month statement. It could be something that you've written that's just helpful. It could be a book by someone else to send to them. A list of 3, 5 things in the first 60 days. Educational events, virtual or in person, inviting your new clients to these educational opportunities. And then on the business friendship side, on the personal side, inviting them to appreciation events. In fact, let me zero in on that as an idea because client appreciation events can be huge. The principle behind this is that if a client likes you and trusts you, gets together with other clients who like you and trust you, then they all leave the event liking you and trusting you more.
Right.
Congruency theory reinforces their opinion. I make a distinction with 3 kinds of events. One is the pure appreciation event where you're just saying thank you. Now, there's a sub-event there where you're just saying thank you to your referral sources. So you can have an ambassadors club. You can have an advocates club, and you're doing an appreciation just for them. Then we have celebration events where we're celebrating, could be a client, could be a couple, retirement, could be whatever, but we're celebrating someone, and that's building an incredible relationship with that person or couple. We're celebrating a milestone in their life. And then there's special invitation events. These are events that are designed for introductions. They're not just bring a guest. If someone brings a guest, fine. No big deal. You don't care. Here you care. Mm-hmm. And you let your clients know that this event is purposely for introductions to meet people in a social setting. So we're not talking business. We're just getting to know folks socially. And then if it makes sense, we'll have a meeting later to talk about business. But these kinds of events are huge. You learn more about your clients, you find more ways to serve them, and then you're meeting other people they know, and you're becoming more referable in their eyes. Yep.
So we're talking about hosting events. I got 2 more before I think I'm running out in my list here of real tactical, actionable things that people can do. And the next one that I would share to become more referable is to create shareable moments. I have a simple belief that if it wasn't photographed, it didn't happen. You haven't got a photograph to prove that it happened. So how do you add parts to your process that means that people get photo or video evidence of it happening? Because then they're more likely to be able to share it. And that could be a
how does that play out? Yeah, that's good.
Well, in my world, and I was on a pre-event planning call yesterday for a 1,000-person speaking event that's happening in January. And I try to create referable moments in that event. One of that is what's the plan for books? But it's not does everybody get a book? It's what does the photo moment look like with people being handed their books? Let's create a red carpet, a step and repeat banner, a table that looks the part, and something that people can stand in front of.
Yeah, that's good.
People don't like having their photo taken until this is the spot that you're supposed to stand in to have your photo taken. So when you're doing events, is there a photo booth? Is there a professional photographer there that's going to share the images and the highlights that are going to come for it? Can you create share-worthy assets or a share-worthy environment that means that you are becoming more referable because your evidence bank is growing through third-party shared credibility?
Can I piggyback on that? Because I interviewed an advisor for my podcast who, in his office, has photographs of him with his clients at different events. Some of them are charitable events where they're cleaning up the side of a road or, they're doing. But when someone else walks in, a brand new prospect or a center of influence, they see the relationships.
That's right.
And they see how they're valued through photos. So I think that piggybacks on what you said about those shareable photographs and moments.
Yeah, it's actually create an environment that people can see how much more connected you are than outside of that office. And I'll give my final one here is how do you gift people artifacts? And I use that word intentionally. My dear now late friend John Rulin was the master on how to give thoughtful thought to the gifts that you would provide to others. He'd share the fact that it's not a gift if it has your logo on it. And how do you create moments of inserting an artifact into somebody else's life that they use on repeat, see on repeat, hold value to repeatedly over a sustained period of time, so that every time they interact with that artifact, there's a memory callback to you. You're more likely to create a talk-worthy moment.
So it's usually something that's practical, usable.
Yep.
Or beautiful.
Yep. It's something you don't throw away, something you find value in, something you find useful. Like John was famous for the knives and the mugs and the tools that you would use. But I even think about things through the years is I was gifted a Countryman microphone, like a very high level microphone that's $1,200 from a dear client of mine when it came up once that it would have been useful for me. He found that out, delivered it to me.
Nice.
Now
it's a nice client.
Right. And that gets utilized on repeat in my world. And every time I touch it, I see it. It's in my day bag. Like I see that thing, I put my hands on it almost every day, whether
doesn't have his logo on it.
Nope.
Actually wouldn't be any place to put a logo on a Countryman.
Correct.
But
a high value artifact.
It has that value. So I'm a big believer in personalized gifts.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We did 10 ways to make you more referable.
Yep.
That by itself is a decent piece of content.
And there are a gazillion more, but we'll stay with 10.
And let's summarize them, check we're on the same page. We got do the work to create personal connection, actually get connected with business friendships. We've got easy to do business with. We've got actually share your why, your vision, your purpose story. We've got share case studies and examples of the other types of people you've helped so that they can see themselves in others. We've got during moments like your onboarding is create remarkable moments. Think about how that is something worth talking about. We've got introduce your challenges, your puzzles, your struggles to people. We've got this idea of periodic value check-ins so that people are writing their stories so they're more shareable around you. Create share-worthy content for your referral sources so they can introduce your ideas, introduce your methodology before they introduce you as a client. We've got create events, different types of events that make you more referable. Yep. Educational events, appreciation events, connection events. We've got create shareable moments with photographs. We've got create artifacts, gift artifacts. If you did those 10 things with everybody you cared about, if you just thought about your clients that you love the most and found ways of implementing 3, 7, 10 of those strategies, how much more referable would you be?
A whole lot more. And I have to add one thing.
Please.
Just be really good at what you do.
Right.
Really, that's kind of a given, but just be really good at what you do.
Yeah.
And do what's in your client's best interest at all time. And these are the extra things.
Yeah. These are the gasoline for that. But right. the given is be good enough to be referred because other people are placing the trusts that they have in some of their key relationships. They're transferring that trust to you. So be as good as they already explained that you might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Love that. You wanted to wrap up on what happens when you're so good at this referability thing that you find yourself with a barrage of clients that you wish you didn't have.
Yeah, we can go that route.
So what do we do with all the inquiries, all of the outreach when we're at capacity or the people that are reaching out are not those that fit either our business model or the value we can provide?
This is important conversation because as I teach people to get more introductions and create more opportunity, then what happens is they start sometimes to get the wrong folks being attracted to them if they're not careful.
Easy to do. Easy.
And so, we talked earlier about teaching your clients who you serve the best, who your processes are best geared towards. That's a big important thing. But let's get the principle first. The principle here is that if someone is not right for your business, you're not right for them.
Okay.
Right? We got to create win-wins here.
Yep.
And what we don't want to do is take on clients who have been referred to us just because they've been referred to us for fear of offending the referral source. And I see that all the time. And folks they almost get a little resentful, which is not a good thing to bring to the place to the business where I got to help this person because they're a friend of a client, right?
Right.
So the first line of defense is, again, teaching clients who you serve the best. And you can say, look, I don't expect you to know their specific situation. Sometimes you have a sense. I'm never too busy to see if I can be a resource for them. And it's important that the match is right. So I'm not going to take on anyone where the match isn't right. So your clients now know that. If they bring someone up in a conversation, again, don't assume. I know I'm not the right person for everybody. Let's talk a little bit about it. Why did you think of her? Why do you think it? And I want to make sure it makes sense before we go to the next step. If someone contacts you, my friend George said, you're great at what you do. I should work with you. All right. I know I'm not the right advisor for everybody. I appreciate what George had to say. Let's chat. Let's see if it makes sense. Right. And then you have some criteria. And it could be assets. It could be income. It could be whatever the business criteria you have, psychographic, demographic. And usually they will qualify themselves out if they see that they don't fit who you serve the best, who your processes are geared toward. Now, here's an important thing. If you have a conversation with a potential client and you turn them down or you refer them to someone else who's more suited for them, immediately pick up the phone, call the referral source, call the introducer, probably get their voicemail, maybe not, and say, hey, Phil, I just talked to your friend George, great guy, had a great conversation. Turns out the timing isn't right for us to be working together, but I do appreciate the trust you have in me, and I look forward to the next time. You can't reveal any proprietary information.
Nope.
And it's the truth. The timing wasn't right. Now, the timing may never be right. We don't know.
Yep.
And the reason we do this is because if their friend feels a little disgruntled by not being able to, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I called you Kate's guy, and he was
I guess I don't have enough money for him. I don't know.
Right.
At least your client has heard from you first.
Yep.
And they kind of have a sense of what's going on. So it's not going to jeopardize the relationship.
Okay.
So create win-win and don't take people that don't fit.
So set it up right to first place from an expectation point of view.
That's the best way.
Be prepared to say no with kindness. Communicate to all stakeholders in a way that they feel like they're included in the story.
Yep.
And then I'd add one other thing is find a way to be helpful for your aspirational clients.
Oh, clearly. Yes. Be of value. Yeah. Help them. Yeah, absolutely. Your clients will love it.
And that's either know who to refer them to that's a better fit for their circumstances, or if they're not ready for anybody to transact with at this point in time, create a resource, be prepared to play upstream, be prepared to be able to give them the tool that they need right now that is helpful, and try not to charge for it if you don't need to.
Phil, you got to talk to my friend. He's got $75,000 in credit card debt and he can't keep a job.
Right.
He needs an advisor. Well, actually he needs, debt counseling and therapy, but right. I'll see if I can find someone for him.
That's it. You can either make an introduction or you can make a referral to a resource or a help category or a video or a checklist or a book and I do that sometimes with people. It's like, hey, real happy to talk to you on that. But before we talk, read this, watch that, learn this, speak to this person. And then when you've done that, come back to me. Particularly with referrals that we get in the speaking business world. Yeah. Like people refer somebody to me for our certified guides community, or they refer somebody to me to be like, this person, should work with you one-on-one for blank. And I'm like, they probably shouldn't. But how do you deal with that gracefully? Yep. It's give your best 10 minutes sometimes.
Yep. Good.
Awesome. Kate, this has been a blast. We've got so much from our conversation today.
Yep.
And how do people learn more about you? If they want to either engage with you professionally, they want to follow more of your content, they want to access any one, some, or all of your multiple books in this world, how do people get to learn more about Kate's?
Yeah, let me give you just a couple of possibilities. My main website, referralcoach.com. We have a lot of free resources leading with the good stuff.
It's funny that, right? That you practice what you preach.
So it's referralcoach.com/resources. And I have a guide that it's a great encapsulation summary of the 3 R's of relationship marketing.
Yeah.
And that's at exponentialgrowthguide.com, exponentialgrowthguide.com. And that's, a view into my world. And if it resonates, then I'm very available, happy to do a strategy session.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, my friend.
My pleasure.
This has been a blast.
Thank you.